Hey there, welcome. Welcome to my bed. My Busk at Dusk. This is John Flynn coming at you from Brandy 100 in the great state of Delaware. Just came into my heart to do this old song by Stan Rogers tonight. Haven't done it in a number of years. Feels like a good time for it. She went down last October in a pouring driving rain. The skipper he'd been drinking, and the mate he felt no pain. Too close to 3 Mile Rock, and she was dealt her mortal blow. And Mary Ellen Carter settled low. There was just us 5 aboard her when she finally was awash. We worked like hell to save her, all heedless of the cost. And the groan she gave when she went down had caused us to proclaim that Mary Ellen Carter would rise again. We talked of her all. Is that right? I think I missed a verse. Hey, I did. The owners wrote her off. Now not one nickel would they spend. She gave 20 years of service, boys, and met her sorry end. But insurance paid the loss to her, lost to us. Sorry, Stan. So let her rest below. They laughed at us and said we had to go. But we talked of her all winter, some days around the clock. She's worth $250,000 now afloat and at the dock. And with every jar that hit the bar, we swore we would remain and make the Mary Ellen Carter rise again. Rise again. Rise again. Let her name not be lost to the knowledge of men. Those who loved her best and were with her till the end will make the Mary Ellen Carter rise again. All spring now we've been with her on a barge lent by a friend. 3 dives a day and a hard hat suit, and twice I had the bends. Thank God it's only 60 feet and the currents here are slow, or I'd never have the strength to go below. But we patched her rents, we stopped her vents, dog hatch and portal down, put cable to her fore and aft and girded her around. And tomorrow noon we hit the air and take up the strain and watch the Mary Ellen Carter rise again. Rise again. Rise again. Let her name not be lost to the knowledge of men. All those who loved her best and were with her till the end will make the Mary Ellen Carter rise again. We couldn't leave her there, you see, to crumble into scale. She saved our lives so many times, living through the gales, and the laughing drunken rats who left her to her sorry grave won't be laughing in another day. And all you to whom adversity has dealt the final blow, with smiling bastards lying to you everywhere you go, turn to and put out all your strength of arm and heart and brain, and like the Mary Ellen Carter, rise again, rise again, rise again. Let her name not be lost to the knowledge of men. All those who loved her best and were with her till the end will make the Mary Ellen Carter rise again, rise again, rise again. No matter what you lost, be it a home, a love, a friend. Though your heart be broken and your life about to end, like the Mary Ellen Carter. And even if you forget the lyrics, like the Mary Ellen Carter, rise again. There was a time I knew those lyrics so cold. Gosh, what a great song. I think I did it probably every night for, I don't know, at least 15 years. So, like I said, Stan, sorry, man. It's getting scary in there. Even when I have the lyrics in front of me, it's not a sure thing. So hello, Tony and Heidi and Susan and Ann and Steve and Nancy. Joy. And Joanne's here and Dave-O. Dave-O, come and me one. Let's see what else is here. What else is in my... It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. John Hartford via Glenn Campbell. Leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. And it's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and bonds, the ink stains that have dried up on some line that keeps you on the back roads by the rivers of my memory, keeps you ever gentle on my mind. It's not clinging to the rocks and ivy planted on their column now that binds me. There's something that somebody said because they thought we fit together walking. It's just knowing that the world will not be cursing or forgiven as I walk along some railroad track and find that you're moving on the back roads by the rivers of my memory. For hours you're just gentle on my mind. Though the wheat fields and the clotheslines and the junkyards and the highways come between us, and some other woman is crying to her mother 'cause she turned and I was gone, I still might run in silence, tears of joy might stain my face, and the summer sun might burn me till I'm blind. But not to where I cannot see you walking on the back roads by the rivers flowing gentle on my mind. Will I dip my cup of soup back from a gurgling, crackling cauldron in some train yard? A beard, a ruffling coal pile, and a dirty hat pulled low across my face. Cupped hands round a tin can, I pretend to hold you to my breast and find that you're moving on the back roads by the rivers of my memory. And for hours, you're just gentle on my mind. What a great song. One of my probably top 3 favorite songs, maybe. Cheryl Goldberg's here. Hi, Cheryl. Susan Moon. All right, let's see. It's a song by our old friend Chris. Jesus was a Capricorn. He ate organic food. He believed in love and peace and never wore no shoes. Long hair, beard, and sandals. He had a funky bunch of friends. I reckon we just nail him up if he come down again. 'Cause everybody's gotta have somebody to look down on, someone they can feel better than anytime they please. Someone doing something dirty decent folks can frown on. If you can't find nobody else, help yourself to me. It gets cussing rednecks, cussing hippies for their hair. Others laugh at straights who laugh at freaks who laugh at squares. Some folks hate the whites who hate the blacks who hate the Klan. Most of us hate anything that we don't understand. Everybody's gotta have somebody to look down on, someone they can feel better than anytime they please. Someone doing something dirty decent folks can frown on. If you can't find nobody else, help yourself to me. That song is still real important. So I don't know if I look a little weird on the screen tonight. I was messing around with the software here on the streaming platform that we use for our busking at dusk. And there was this button that said enhance your appearance. So I thought, oh well, that can't be a bad thing. So I pushed it, and it kind of smoothed my wrinkles and stuff away. And I thought, well, that doesn't exactly look like me. So I pushed it again, and it wouldn't go back. I said, no, I'd rather look. And the machine just said, no, trust us. we're gonna keep it on this setting for you. So not sure. It's like the old Outer Limits program where they said we now have control of. You guys probably aren't old enough to remember this, but on the Outer Limits when I was a kid, they would start off by saying we at the control room are now in charge of your television, and we'll control the vertical, and we'll kids today don't even know what vertical and all that jazz was. They didn't have to stand holding the rabbit ears with aluminum foil wrapped around the antenna just so they could watch, their afternoon cartoons. Tobar the Eighth Man and Astro Boy. I have a friend who used to climb the walls of stone cathedrals in the mountain halls. where mistakes you can't afford. Nothing between him and the Lord but a piece of nylon cord in his two calloused hands. He found me trembling once in grievous fear. Illness might soon claim someone I held dear. And he said, once upon a time, when I was learning how to climb, somebody said the words that I'm about to say to you. Trust the rope. Trust the rope. Hold on tight and make a friend of it. Especially when you've reached the end of it. Don't lose hope. Trust the rope. There was this cliff face that he could not cross. No ledge to grab on, he was at a loss. His mind filled up with doubt. He heard his buddy shout, just let go and swing on out. It's gonna be okay. Just trust the rope. Trust the rope. Hold on tight and make a friend of it. Even when you've reached the end of it, you can't cope. Trust the rope. Some say ships are safe in harbors. That's not what folks who built ships had in mind. Tarzan swinging through the arbors has to put his faith in every vine. So trust the rope. Gotta trust the rope. Hanging out between heaven and hell. When you hear a voice above you yell, don't say nope. Trust the rope. So usually, I shouldn't say usually. I was going to say usually when I mess up the lyric, and that's by no means the case. But sometimes when I mess up the lyric, it's because I gaze down at my computer and I see a comment that somebody made, and it tickles me or something, and then my brain goes, remember, buddy, you're singing a song now, and there's a line coming up, and then the other part of my brain goes, you don't remember the line, do you? And then this little conversation takes place. So while I'm supposed to be singing the line, I'm really having a conversation with myself. And that's what happened during that song. Not that you needed to know that, but let's see. So my friend Tony, I remember asking Tony's permission to tell this story during the show I did the week after Chris passed away last year. I don't think I did tell it, it turned out. In that long marathon, I don't know how many of you guys are with me, but that was a I was going to say it was a sad couple hours, but I don't think that's actually accurate. There was a lot of joy, but there were some tears, and but I remember asking Tony if I could tell this story now. So forgive me if I'm telling it again, but so she had as I recall, it was kind of a bad fall. This was 20 years ago or a little more than that, and she was laid up and couldn't go to work, couldn't get around, her spirits were really down, and word got to me that, your friend's down in the dumps. And she wasn't getting dressed in the morning. She was staying in her jammies all day, and she wasn't doing her hair or any of that stuff that all you pretty ladies do. And, it was not long after I had met Chris Christopherson, and I called him up and I said, would you do me a favor? I got a friend who's going through a hard time right now. And she's a very special person. As a matter of fact, she's somebody that my son Sean, back when he was little, he told me, Tony's one of God's special people, right, Dad? And that was just something he intuited, and he was right. And I told Chris, this is my friend. She's one of God's special people. And so would you mind giving her a call? Because, she's not figuratively your biggest fan. She's literally your biggest fan in the world. So I later found out that Chris had called her, and they had talked. And so when her son got home that evening, Tony was all bright and her hair was done and makeup was on. She was all dressed, sitting in a chair in the living room. And he said, Mom, what happened? And she said, if Chris Christopherson can call me on the phone, there's no reason that Robert Redford can't come to the front door. Which is true. You can't argue. So anyway, Tony had asked to hear this one. Deep in the heart of the infinite darkness, a tiny blue marble is spinning through space, born in the splendor of God's holy vision, sliding away like a tear down his face. Look closer, you'll see the whole wide holy wonder of oceans and mountains and rivers and trees. And of all his creation, his favorite are humans, the creatures of laughter and freedom and dreams. Now the warriors are waving their old rusty sabers. Preachers are preaching the gospel of hate. By their behavior determined to teach us a lesson we're soon to be learning too late. Look closer, my brothers, we're killing each other. We better stop and get started today, because life is the question and life is the answer, and God is the reason, and love is the way. Life is the question and life is the answer, and God is the reason, and love is the way. So Donna says, I'm still waiting for Paul McCartney to knock on my door. You never know. So the song before that was called "Trust the Rope," and it was a song that was inspired by my buddy, brother David, who told me that story. David's my dear friend and mentor and spiritual advisor, and I went to him with something that was real heavy on my heart. When I do that, he always tells me mountain climbing stories, because when he was young, he used to mountain climb. And I love the mountain climbing stories, but seldom do I understand the mountain climbing stories relative to what my particular problem or question happens to be. At least I don't get it right at first, a lot of the time. It usually takes me a day or two to cook on it. But when I figured out what he was telling me back then, I wrote that song. So my friends at Camp Dreamcatcher this past couple of years, they have asked me to help raise money in something, an event they call Over the Edge. And Over the Edge is where you get people to sponsor you for rappelling down the side of an 8-story building. And I'm scared of heights. Something I hadn't admitted publicly up until Camp Dreamcatcher asked me to rappel down the side of an 8-story building. And I remembered what my old friend Utah Phillips had said when I visited him out in California about a year or so before he passed away. He was having a tree house built in the back of his house. And Utah was, advanced in age and very frail as far as his health, And I asked him why he was having a tree house built. And he said, because I've always been scared of heights, John, and I'm running out of time to do something about it. So that had one instant effect on me, because my wife at that point, Beth, wanted to get a German Shepherd puppy. And I had always been scared of German Shepherds. I had a bad incident or two with the German Shepherd when I was a little kid. And so just frankly, I was never real thrilled to be around them. But it was while I was on the road for that particular trip when Utah told me that, Beth asked me about the German Shepherd, and I thought, well, I'm running out of time to do something about this. So she got our little buddy Chief, and he turned out to be one of the dearest friends in all my years on this planet. So it goes to show you. Anyway, all this is by way of leading up to this song, I guess. But I have to change harmonicas. That's not it either. It's just like a well-oiled machine here tonight, folks. My neighbor Harold's 93. He's such a happy dude. Says every day above the ground's a gift. He's had his share of tough breaks, but he's filled with gratitude. He says, John, that's the way I got to live. If I'm gonna die while I'm alive, I wanna live, not just survive. We gotta make a choice, and I'd rather die while I'm alive. Once a giant oak tree fell, demolishing his house. The roof went crashing down upon his head. I ran inside the rubble, found him laughing on his couch. True story. If that's the price for loving trees, he said, I'd rather die while I'm alive. I want to live, not just survive. We gotta make a choice, and I'd rather die while I'm alive. You can call God him or her, she doesn't give a damn. Universe or higher power, even son of man. Harold says love brought us here, and love is why we stay. And without love, we'd all just begin to fade away. Hey, hey, hey. My neighbor Harold's 93, he's such a happy guy. Says every day above the ground's a chance to read a book or crack a joke or look up at the sky. There ain't no way he's sitting out the dance. He'd rather die while he's alive. He wants to live, not just survive. We gotta make a choice, and I'd rather die while I'm alive. Yeah, we all got a choice, and I'd rather die while I'm alive. So I just posted this story on, pardon me. Posted this story on Facebook a little while ago because it really stayed with me. One of the prison groups that we run in New Beginnings is down in Smyrna, Delaware, the James T. Vaughn Correctional Institution. And we welcomed a bunch of new guys into the group, our Thursday afternoon group, during the past couple of weeks. So yesterday I was explaining kind of what we do in New Beginnings, and just kind of give a short summary of the idea. And I said, we're not here to try to fix anybody. We're not here to even try to teach you anything, really. We're just here to get to know you as men, and in doing so, maybe help you get to know yourselves a little better, because we talk, in here about stuff that we maybe can't talk about in other places and in other arenas, and we trust each other. And anyway, in the course of the relationships that we build, we come to see the real you, the real, the innate goodness and essential dignity of every human being. And as we begin to see this in you, a lot of times you'll begin to see it in yourself, maybe for the first time in your life. And one of our volunteers is named Ty Mathis, and Ty has been very forthright about his particular story, and he's actually been in the newspaper talking about this a couple of times, so I'm not betraying any confidences. But Ty's been out of prison for 6 years, and he's been volunteering with New Beginnings for must be going on 3 years now, something like that. So Ty had done 13 years in this very prison that we were sitting in yesterday. And he said, New Beginnings saw stuff in me that I didn't know was there. You know, they saw goodness in me that I didn't know was inside me. And once they saw it, I started to see it myself. So one of the new guys, this tall, skinny fella, young guy, put his hand up and he said, I was raised by the street. You know, everything I learned in the hood. I learned the code of the street. Didn't have anybody to show me any other way. And he said, but while you were talking like that about, you know, getting to know, I think the phrase we used was getting to know your real self. He said, I remembered the first fight I ever got into. I was about 10 years old, and I won. You know, and everybody, all the kids around me were cheering for me, and they were patting me on the back. He said, but there was this pain inside my heart for the fact that I hurt this other kid, you know, and I couldn't tell anybody about it because I didn't want them to think I was weak. And he said, but that pain was real. And he said, I used to feel it from time to time, you know, but as I got older, it became more and more rare that I would feel it. And then finally it went away. And he said, I wonder if that was like part of that real me you're talking about. And maybe that real me is still there inside, he said. And I thought that was just perfect and beautiful. And so that's just been rattling around in my head all day today. Maybe I'll do this song in honor of that young man. I have not come to save you, but when I look at you, I do not see a damsel in distress. I have not come to change you, your desperado soul is perfect as it is, though I confess. You say I'm a sight for sore eyes, but I think you and me are both half blind. You can't see the beauty that's inside you, and I can't see quitting on a friend of mine. I have not come to heal you. You don't need to be cured. The scars we bear are holier than shrines. If tears can teach our eyes to see with tenderness the wounds that we've been tempted to despise. You say I'm a sight for sore eyes, but I think you and me are both half blind. You can't see the beauty that's inside you. I can't see quitting on a friend of mine. Maybe love ain't nothing but a mirror, one that shows you who you really are. Maybe mine can show you someone you've been a stranger to so far. I have not come to fix you. I know deep inside you're not and never have been powerless. But I will share the darkness that you are walking through until you find the light that you possess. You say I'm a sight for sore eyes, but I think you and me are both half blind. You can't see the beauty that's inside you, and I can't see quitting on a friend of mine. No, I ain't quitting on a friend of mine. So I'll just simply remind you that this is a viewer-supported endeavor, and you can use good old-fashioned paper checks sent to yours truly at P.O. Box 8273, Wilmington, Delaware 19803. And we also have a kind of a digital hat that we pass around. And you can find me at Singwriter on Venmo or at the PayPal.me/Singwriter. I don't know if that's a backslash or a front slash. Was never clear on the slash direction, but so thanks to those who have supported this. It's been truly appreciated. And like I said, if it's not within your power to do that, I understand. Everybody's welcome. No donations necessary. However, I was thinking, if you've been coming week after week after week and you can't really afford to throw anything in the digital hat, that's cool. I'm with you. But I will charge admission next week. You have to bring somebody else to the show. So if you don't bring somebody else to the show next week, you got to kick in $5. That's all I'm saying. $5, you can afford it. And to get out of the $5 donation minimum next week, I can't enforce any of this. You're going to be on the honor system. But to get out of your $5 minimum, what do we got? We got 27 eyeballs on this according to the screen. So do the math. We're talking folk music money here. So next week, you got to bring a partner. It's one of those high occupancy viewer HOV streams. It's not that me and Dan are better than the rest of you. We've made so many mistakes, we know what not to do. We got more uncommon sense than most of y'all can stand. Yeah, we got all the answers, me and Dan. Got a beat on the important questions of the day. There's almost no big issues upon which we can't invade. We'll tell you just what's wrong with you and help you make a plan to solve your problems. Just ask me and Dan. The world would be a better place where a smile upon its face, if everyone would just be more like us. Though the less discerning might take our sagacious judgments for the cranky grumblings of sarcastic old curmudgeons. We're so freaking enlightened that we just don't give a damn. We got wisdom out the yin-yang, me and Dan. Not everyone appreciates our subtlety and wit. We put the wise in wise ass more than they care to admit. We ain't perfect, but we come as close as anybody can. Yeah, they broke the mold when they made me and Dan. The world would be a better place where a smile upon its face. Everyone would just be more like us. Life with us is probably nothing short of paradise. Our wives are always grateful when we offer them advice. The Oracle of Delphi was a flash in the brain pan compared to the likes of me and Dan. That's M-E-A-N-D, don't spell it with no ampersand. The title of this song is Me and Dan. So this is my anthem to persistence in the face of resistance. There is a man named Sisyphus who legend has it will be doomed to spend his life pushing a boulder up a hill. When Sis gets to the top, that boulder rolls back down, and then man, he wipes the sweat from his eyes and starts all over again. Sometimes that's the way it feels inside my spirit too. Sometimes, friends, you eat the bear. Sometimes the bear eats you. There ain't no surrender in my broken-hearted soul. So just like Sisyphus, I'm gonna take my rock and roll. Well, I'll keep pushing for justice. Yeah, I'll keep pushing for peace. I keep trying to see the best in everyone I meet. And when I'm bruised and battered, feeling like I can't go on, I'll remember old Sisyphus and I will sing this song. Sometimes that's the way it feels inside my spirit too. Sometimes, friends, you eat the bear. Sometimes the bear eats you. There ain't no surrender in my broken-hearted soul. Just like Sisyphus, I'm gonna take my rock and roll. 'Cause I can't back up and I won't back down. I can't back up and I won't back down. I can't back up and I won't back down. I can't back up, won't back down. I can't back up and I won't back down. I can't back up and I won't back down. I can't back up and I won't back down no more. Sometimes that's the way it feels inside my spirit too. How about you guys? Sometimes, friends, you eat the bear. Sometimes the bear eats you. There ain't no surrender in my broken-hearted soul. Just like Sisyphus, I'm gonna take my rock and roll. There ain't no surrender in my broken-hearted soul. Just like Sisyphus, I'm gonna take my rock and roll. A couple nights ago I dreamt I wrote a special song. It wasn't complicated and it wasn't very long. I dreamt I took my old guitar and played it in the streets. People gathered round to hear a simple song of peace. What started as a tiny crowd would soon become a throng. And everyone who heard me sing began to sing along. It's been too long since I did my song here. Started as a tiny crowd, soon become a throng. And everyone who heard me sing began to sing along. The voices then were lifted up, carried on the breeze, till all across the land was heard a simple song of peace. East and west, from north and south, I heard a single choir. The singing seemed to take away our fears, though times were dire. Till news came from around the world that war and violence ceased, as love at last was set free by a simple song of peace. I shook my head, remembering the long and lonely years when every song I wrote would seem to fall upon deaf ears. Yet all those moments of self-doubt had somehow led to these. Tears filled my eyes then as I sang that simple song of peace. A child in the crowd came up and tugged upon my sleeve. He said, "You're only dreaming, John. Now it's time to leave." Just before I woke, I whispered to myself, "Oh, please, when you wake, do not forget this simple song of peace." I woke and lay in darkness in those hours before the dawn, anguished to discover that the song of peace was gone. Till birds outside my window started singing in the trees, and I smiled to hear again a simple song of peace. There's a simple song of peace in each and everything. Rocks and birds, and trees and waters. If we're listening, we're all radios tuned into quantum frequencies. The universe is singing us a simple song of peace. I was having a fascinating discussion with a quantum physicist after a concert I gave up in New York. And it was just when that song was kind of new, one of the first times I sang it. And he said, have you studied, quantum physics? And I said, no. And he said, because you got a lot of stuff right in that last verse. And he wanted to know where I came up with it. And I was about to tell him I had no idea when one of the roadies or the sound guys dropped a big heavy metal speaker stand on my Martin D28 and cracked it. And we never finished that conversation. But Martin did come to the rescue and fix the guitar, and I was glad to know that the song was on, solid scientific ground footing. I want to go where there's no them there, there's no us there, somewhere we share what we're given, the same living, and I'm dying to go. It's more than intuition or a strong suspicion, a whole lot more than wishing. I know it in my heart. Races, creeds, and nations are false separation, and we can replace them with love. It's time to start. I want to go where there's no them there, there's no us there, somewhere we share what we're given. It ain't living, and I'm dying to go. The colors of the rainbow blend together and show how we can blend also. We just look beyond the things that divide us to what is inside us. May that beauty guide us from this dark road we're on. I want to go where there's no them there, there's no us there, somewhere we share what we're given, the same living, and I'm dying to go. Fear we've learned to cherish, hate we're taught to nourish. A world of hope may perish if soon we do not find a brand new way of seeing, brand new way of freeing our fellow human beings by simply being kind. I want to go where there's no them there, there's no us there, somewhere we share what we're given, the same living, and I'm dying to go. I want to go where There's no them there, there's no us there. Somewhere we share what we're given. This ain't living, and I'm dying to go. Dying to go, but I'm going anyway. Dying to go. Thanks for being here tonight, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Don't let the bastards get you down. Peace.